Hello, Braves Country. It's Coach Ken Anderson coming to Hardcore Braves, and we've got Trade Edition number two. Our second week. Got Ryan and Aaron on here. How we doing today, Ryan?
Well, at least we're coming off a win, Ken, and but right now the bullpen is crapping itself, so not very good at the moment, but overall can't complain. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How about you, Miss Aaron?
Yeah, I'm feeling about the same as Ryan right now. Overall, pretty good, but this game is stressing me out.
Yeah, the good part is Hurston, after the first inning, threw the ball pretty well. So that's the good thing we can take out of that. And some guys are looking better at the plate. Um, Even Austin looks a little bit better at the plate today. It's probably a work in progress. Yaz looks better at the plate. So there's some guys we need to get going. So hopefully they'll get going, and with the hated Mets coming to town. So as we said, trade deadline, we try to give you the trade that's already happened for the week, and then we'll work on teams. No trades this week, guys. None. That was a minor league deal. A's sent Harris to Boston on a minor league deal, but nobody even knows who Brett Harris is, so we know there's nothing to discuss there. So last week we had around seven teams between definitely sellers and borderline. This week we're up to maybe 12. We're going to talk about some of the marginal teams first. One of those marginal teams is the Cincinnati Reds. They're in a free fall. They are. An interesting thing that happened this week is Matt McLain was moved to center field. Now, get y'all's opinion on that. I think that is to see if they need to trade one of their outfielders. Can Matt play center field? Yeah, cough, cough. Spencer Steer, I think, is the one going to go. But Rhino, what do you think about the Reds, where they're at, and now Matt playing a little center field?
Well, me and you have kind of talked about it. I just the Reds have had this core for a few years now, and it's just done absolutely nothing. They've done nothing. So, for me, I think it's time for them to replenish the farm system and try to get another core and try to make another run at it in a few years when that core is ready. But you know, it is their decision at the end of the day. But I would definitely love to see a Spencer Steer or a Nick Lodolo come on over. I would be a-okay with that.
Yeah, I would too. And I think the other thing that's happening is Ellie's got this little thing, Aaron, that he's kind of banged up. He can't get, it's kind of like a Ronnie's thing where his legs can't
Yeah.
quite get right. What do you think about the Reds? Are they running into sellers mode in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I think they're definitely moving into seller position. I'm pretty sure CBS has them categorized as a seller as of now. They're what, 5.5 games back in the NL wild card race. And unlike the AL, the NL is pretty set. I mean, there's not really a free for all in the wild card race, so I could definitely see them being sellers. And the whole outfield situation I wasn't aware of, but that is very interesting. And I think your point is probably what is most likely happening with them right now.
Yeah, the thing with them is the Reds are 40 and 46. The problem is the National League has a lot of good teams at 500 to get to play the American League. Their record's probably not going to plummet. That's probably what Cincinnati is. So, with that said, I think the most likely candidate to get traded as far as the pitchers, there's two of them. Nick Lodolo, both are lefties, Nick Lodolo and Sam Moll. I think they both fit our needs, Ryan. I think both of them can come in here and really do a good job for us.
Yeah, we need starting pitching. I don't think that's a secret at all. And Lodolo would slot in nicely into that 3, 4, 5 slot that we need. Maul, I definitely want another left-handed reliever. I've been big on that all year. I love Dylan Dodd, but I am one that you don't want to ever just rely on what you have. If you can add to his strength, add to it because injuries do happen. I'm not wishing an injury happening on anybody in the Braves. I think that's pretty obvious, but you need to be prepared, and if you can strengthen a strength, why not go ahead and do it? And it's a bullpen piece. It's probably not going to cost an arm and a leg to get Sam Moll over here from Cincinnati, so I would be all for that.
Yeah, and Ryan, the next team that's kind of sliding towards cellar is the Baltimore Orioles. They thought they had a little run, looked like they were going to kind of get on it. They've got a very interesting situation with Kyle Bradish. Kyle Bradish will be asked for. He's a good pitcher. And then they have a plethora of a bunch of young kids. They got to figure out who they want there. Have you looked at the Orioles roster and anybody that you think would fit the Braves?
I know people love Taylor Ward. I don't know. I'm just not a Taylor Ward guy. I've never been high on Taylor Ward. I think we got enough swing and miss and have had enough swing and miss years. And his only real calling card is that he can hit left-handed pitching. Do we need that? Yeah, but at the same time, I think there's other options out there that are a little bit better than Taylor. I love Bradish. I don't know how many years of control he has left, but that might be one of the few guys I would give up a hefty prospect capital for if they were willing to part ways with it. There's also some other bullpen arms in there. Cano, he might be coming up, and he is pretty nasty as well. I would be interested to see what they do. And what do they want for some of their younger players? I mean, they can't. Not all of them can play every day at all their positions because they got a ton of infield guys, and there's not enough room for all of them. So somebody's going to have to move. So there's a lot of options. Orioles would be definitely interesting trade partners, but unfortunately, there's limited pitching options, and I think that's more so our need. But bat wise, it would be kind of fun to think about that as well. But we'll see.
Aaron, he brought up a good point. Taylor Ward's going to be highly coveted. I don't know if he actually fits because I think we need somebody to play every day. He does struggle against right-handed hitting. So, Aaron, what do you think about the Orioles?
Yeah, I've had a lot of people bring up Taylor Ward to me in my trade content, and I'm with Ryan on that. I feel like we can get a more valuable bat somewhere else. And Kyle Bradish, I just looked up his contract. He won arbitration this year, so he's on a 1 year, $3.55 million. So he'd be a rental. There's other options I think that are going to come to light closer to the deadline that I think we could potentially go after, but at the same time, we should, the Braves should look into it as well.
Yeah, as far as the contract, he's still going to save a lot more money than, say, like a Scooble
Right.
or somebody like that. So it'll be interesting. It's just something to keep an eye on. The next team that's kind of in that little mode, like they can't get out of their own way, Aaron, are the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays are an interesting team. The guy that they would probably trade as far as the pitcher would be Kevin Gausman. And that would be a reunite. I'm not big on Kevin coming here, but how about you? Would you be interested if Kevin Gausman come available?
I honestly don't see I know might be a little bit of a hot take, but I don't see the Blue Jays becoming sellers. I think that they're still going to try to go for the wild card in the AL just because of how volatile it is. And I think that they could potentially be buyers. And then they would be in the same kind of market that we're in, looking for starting pitching and additional bats and things like that. So with the Blue Jays, it could get interesting.
Yeah, they're an interesting team. I kind of agree with you. I'm not sure the Blue Jays are going to fall into it. They're just interesting. They can't quite get right, Ryan. What do you think about them? And if they did, would you be interested in Kevin Gausman?
Yeah, I don't see them being sellers. I can't imagine the defending American League champions just punting on the season. But I mean, if they go what I don't know, two for a 12 stretch, they win two, lose 12. I could see it, but I don't see that happening. They're a good team. They got a good bullpen. My goodness, Varland's been good for them. I would be interested in him if they were looking to sell. I'll tell you that. But right-handed sticks, I mean, you're looking at Springer, not interested in him. I would like the kid that got voted in the All-Star game, Ernie Clement, but he would cost a nice penny. They're probably not going to get rid of him. I mean, all in all, I don't want Varsho. I'm not big on Varsho. I've never been big on Dalton Varsho. Vladdy Guerrero, he's not going anywhere. Kirk's not going anywhere. So, Kevin Gausman maybe, but I don't want to pay that contract, and he's getting up there in age. I've never been a Kevin Gausman guy, so the only guy I'd be interested in is some of their bullpen pieces, and that one of them's Varland. So I mean, other than that, I don't see them really filling a whole lot of needs that we have.
Kevin Gausman. He has too many spurts where he gives up big innings now, and that's definitely not something we need. And I'm like you. I think the guys that I would be interested in with Toronto are guys we're not going to get. I think Ernie Clement, they're going to lock down and keep guys like that. So the other team in the American League East that can't figure out what they want to do, they did sweep the Yankees, but then they lost a series to the Nats. And now they're going to probably play without Contreras, who's been their most consistent hitter. His suspension is 7 games. I think he'll get that cut back to maybe like 3 or 4. Aaron, Red Sox. We know who the guy that wants to go out there, and Buster Olney come on 680 to the fan and said he's even privately still behind the scenes. He thinks still wanting to be Atlanta Brave. What do you think about the Red Sox?
Yeah, I think the Red Sox are definitely going to be sellers. How many games back are they right now? Six.
In the wild card is 6. Yeah.
Yeah, six. Yeah. So I definitely think, and I also think that Sonny Gray is probably one of the most realistic targets for the Braves, if he's willing to waive his no trade clause, which, a lot of reports point to that he is. It's just a matter of, contract. Can we get an extension? And age is also a factor. But, we also have Chris Sale, who is the same age, or within the same year range. So I don't know if that's as big of an issue that the Braves are considering, but me personally, I want to get the rotation a little younger, just with injury risk and things like that. But for this year, I think Sonny Gray would be a good fit if it's not going to cost, half the farm, which I don't think that it would.
An interesting thing that's going on with the Red Sox as well is they have a plethora of outfielders, and they don't really know, but they can't stay healthy. So I think they're in a boat that they're going to have to trade from the pitching side. That'd be Sonny and maybe Garrett Whitlock. And for me, Ryan, Garrett Whitlock is somebody that I would be interested in. And I would take Sonny. I just don't want to unload the farm for Sonny. To Ryan, to Aaron's point, he could go down at any point at the back end of his career, and I don't want to get.
I'd definitely be interested in Whitlock. They need to be sellers. My gosh, they've been terrible the last 2 years. Their young core that they thought so much that was going to carry them into the next great Red Sox era has just not panned out. Marcel O'Meara has not been great. Rafael has taken a long time to really kind of develop into a good hitter. Ramon Anthony, he's been injured the last couple of years and really hasn't had that lengthy playing time where he can take off and carry the offense like he's capable of. It's just I don't even know who's catching for them at this point. It's not so that tells you how much their catchers have not been very good. They got a lot of parts that should be moving. I know they're not going to bounce off too many of the young guys, but Contreras needs to go. Sonny Gray, they need to ship out. I mean, there's no reason to keep Whitlock and Chapman when they can help replenish a farm system. So those guys probably need to go. At this point, you just need to and they're not going to do a rebuild, but they need to do a retooling, and those guys could certainly help retool. But I'm not giving up the farm system for Sonny Gray. Me and you talked about this, Ken. I don't know if you want to talk about packages, but I would offer them a couple of mid-tier prospects and say, what do you think? Because you're not worth a top 10 prospect, in my opinion. It's just not feasible. I'd give you a couple of, I don't know, 11 to 20 guys if you wanted that, but you're not getting anybody out of the top 10. And I would even maybe look at throwing Whitlock in there, maybe another prospect. And if you take some money off our books in a Profar or Kim situation, I may throw in another prospect for you. I think that would be a situation that could work quite well for both sides. But, Breslow really likes to screw over his own team and organization. So who knows what that dude's going to do.
Him screwing over him would be the perfect thing. He's not going to get fired this year, and then he could screw him over by taking Profar off our hands. I might give up a big prospect. That's a good point. So, the other thing, I'm glad she brought it up. There's 6 games back. The other thing everybody needs to pay attention is how many teams you got to pass. That's what the biggest thing these MLB front offices look at. They don't mean as many games because you could be 6 games out of the wild card, but if you only have to catch one team, a lot of times you'll go for it because you're like, hey, we're going to play each other. That's some games. In the case of the Red Sox, they are got to jump so many teams. I think they will be sellers. And speaking of teams that's got to jump teams, the Detroit Tigers are in trouble. I mean, Skubal's pitching well. He's going to bring money. They also have other pieces that could possibly go that they could want to clear. Torkelson's one of them. They could get something for. They have a couple young relievers that are really good. and of course the big prize is Scooble and Bob Nightingale, who hardcore Braves don't really trust, and not, most of the country don't trust, did put out that he's pretty sure he's going to the Braves. Aaron, I don't see it, but how about you? You think the Tigers are a trade candidate for the Braves?
I think they could be a trade candidate, yes. Necessarily for Tarek Skubal, no. I mean, if they're gonna ask for, a giant haul for 2 months of control, especially with like, the prorated amount of that salary is still a sizable amount. So it just depends on the deal. I'm not sending Eric Hartman along with three other top 30 prospects to get Tarek Skubal for a run at the World Series. That's unrealistic. But like I've mentioned before, with the CBA stuff going on, Scott Boras may be open to a short-term extension, and if we can lock that down without having to give up a ton of prospects, then maybe it's possible. But Scott Boras is not usually one to he wants his clients to hit free agency. He wants bidding wars. So there's a lot of moving parts there, but I'm not saying 0%. I'm just saying, maybe like 5% chance that the Braves look into it.
I make the case that if they're going to do it, it's going to be the other way around. I think the only way Scuba would make sense is if all of a sudden they added, um, we'll get to this team later, but there's a guy that you bring in to be like the 3 or 4, and they bring in a bat that can really swing in a deal, and you think Scuba literally can win you a World Series this year, then I think you can start talking some prospects. I don't think Eric Hartman, number one, he's now the number one prospect in the Braves organization. He's not going anywhere, in my
Yeah,
opinion. The only
no.
way he goes somewhere is, and we'll get to that team right after this one. That's the Twins. If somehow they did get to where they give up Ryan and Buxton, that's the only chance Hartman has to go on a deal, in my opinion. Ryan, what about you? Any way the Braves line up with the Tigers?
No. I look, I'm sorry to pop y'all's bubbles. I mean, who do you want out of their bullpen? I don't even know who's in their bullpen. So I don't. They might have a couple arms in there. I think there's better options out there personally. I mean, what there's not really. If you're looking at offensive pieces for the Detroit Tigers, you're looking at Dingler. That's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and we already have probably one of the better catchers in all of baseball in Drake Baldwin. So we're not looking for that. I don't see them as a trade partner for the Braves. You're going to see the Los Angeles Dodgers hit them up for Scooble. That's where he's going to go. I don't know why everybody thinks Atlanta's going to get him. Just like you said, Ken, you're either going to have, me and you were talking about this, Riley's going to have to really start getting hot and figure it out for him to be that bat, or Ronald's going to have to come back and be the 23 version where he can absolutely carry this team to where you feel confident with the offense, where you might not have to go out and get that big stick, but maybe a complimentary bat that won't cost you as much. Go get a number 3 or 4. Then it might make sense to go get Tarek. But otherwise, I don't know. I'm not one who wants to give up the farm system for a guy who's going to be here 2 months, coming off an elbow surgery, and he hasn't looked as good coming off that elbow surgery. So I'm really skeptical about that. So personally, no, I wouldn't even bother looking to Detroit. There's just nothing there that intrigues me, and there's a lot other teams that do intrigue me.
He looked good in his last start. He went 8 innings, but I was against the Yankees. The Yankees can't hit anybody right now, so it's hard to say how well he really threw. I do think. I think I've been on record now for a month. I think he's going either to Tampa, and now I will throw Miami in there. They're great landing spots. They can absorb the salary, and they can let him go be free agent. He can. Both teams may even be in the playoffs now. Miami don't look, but they had the best record in June, and they got a really good young team. So we'll see. The Dodgers say they don't want to trade. Me and Aaron was on a phone call, but don't trust the Dodgers. They have said that before, and then they go get somebody. Let's go to the Twins. That seems to be the package that you may give up a big prospect. I don't think it's Hartman, but it could be a Tate Southacene or John Hill, or even a Cam Caminiti. Aaron, we've been keeping an eye on the Twins for a while. Are you? And look, they even finally come out and said, okay. John Heyman said, yeah. Even though they said that, Joe Ryan will probably definitely be on the trade market. So, Aaron, what do you think about the Twins?
Well, the Twins have been for a while my favorite potential trade partners. I think Joe Ryan is probably the best fit, even over Sonny Gray, for us because he has, his contract is more team friendly, and he's performing better than Sonny Gray is this year. And I think he'd be a perfect number two after Chris Sale. I really want Joe Ryan if we can make that happen. I know that we've talked about Byron Buxton and his whole PR of I'm a twin, and then, the front office saying that they're not interested in moving him. I think that's all smoke and mirrors. If there is some way that we can get a package together to get both of them, I am down for whatever that involves. Because to me, those two players fill all the major needs that we have right now and can completely turn everything around, like the holes that we have.
Yeah, it's a World Series contender like this. I will throw in for Ryan speaks on the Twins because that is definitely the two. The other names that possibly would be Jeffers may get traded and the reliever Rogers. Any interest in them? And what do you think about Ryan and Buxton?
Um, I would love to have Buxton and Ryan. I mean, I don't think there's not a person in Atlanta that wouldn't want either of those two dudes in the Atlanta Braves rotation or lineup. I would also be interested in the left-handed reliever. I don't know what his stats are, so I would have to go ahead and look them up. But I mean, left-handed pitching is hard to come by, and if he's been good this year, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't cost a whole lot. And the Twins would be looking to get rid of him anyway to get salary off the books if they're going to go in full sell mode. So again, I know AA is going to do his due diligence, but as far as a package that could solve a lot of things, you're getting your star-studded bat that you need, you're getting your number two starter that you need, and you're getting a reliever that you need. It's a nice one-stop shop for AA to really consider, but again, it comes down to prospect capital and how much you give up and what you get in the draft as well. If you get Burris in the draft, if he falls to number 9, it's more likely that they would look to giving up an Eric Hartman in a deal or a John Heel or whoever. So we'll have to see what they do draft day. Again, trade deadline's a long way. Well, it's not that long ways away, but you're probably not going to start seeing deals fly for another 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think that probably the All Star break somewhere around there after the draft they'll start. I will say keep an eye on Larnack and Jeffers and Rogers because a lot of times when you're talking to a GM, you can't make that deal. Then somehow you switch and just pick up a piece. I like all three of those players. The team that's free falling in the American League are the Kansas City Royals. They're in deep trouble. Uh, they're Some of their pitchers are going to the IL. They're struggling. The two guys who are not going to the IL, Miss Aaron, are Waka and Lugo, who seem to make good fits. Strom cannot stay healthy. I was on Strom for a long time, but he just cannot get
Yeah.
healthy. I think I would move off of Strom. And then Miguel Garcia, if the right trade, they were able to try to do like a buy sell with him. He might be available. They're saying, what about the Kansas City Royals, Aaron?
Somewhere recently that they would not be interested in moving Waka or Lugo because they want to keep their, long-term younger pitching staff, but it is just a article after all. Uh Here's one. Starling Marte is on the Royals now, right? What do we think of a trade involving him?
My problem with, I'll let Ryan speak to that too. My problem with Starling is he stays injured all the time. His legs are going up, and I don't know if we want to add another one. And as far as the report, I saw the same report there, and that's like saying I'm a young 75-year-old. Walker and Lugo's at the end of their careers. They're in their 30s. Their young pitchers are all hurt. Reagan's, Bupic, and all them.
Yeah.
And so I kind of agree. I think me and Ryan's talked about that. You could swing one of our older guys for to swap to them. I'm not saying I'm not trying to advocate for Elder to get traded, but you could send them an Elder and part of a deal so they still have a young pitcher. Elder's still young, by the way. Feels like he's 35 years old, but
I
still,
know.
man, he's been here forever. But yeah, I don't know, Ryan, what you think about Starling Marte?
Just looking at the Savant page, I mean, he's kind of just I guess a platoon outfielder now or DH for them. I mean, his outs above average is okay. His arm's still really good. He can still barrel a ball. He just doesn't hit it very hard when he barrels it anymore. His OPS 651. I, he'd be a nice complementary piece if you needed a DH that just is contact wise. But I think we need somebody who's going to play defense out there every day or most of the time, and a guy who can impact the lineup, not just in a 7-8 spot. We got enough of those guys who are a little bit of holes, but we need somebody who's got a little bit of thump in the bat that can put a 15, 20 home run stretch together at the second half. So I'm not big on Marte. I have been big on Michael Wacha. I would love Michael Wacha. I would like Seth Lugo. Matt Strahm not staying healthy kind of hurts because I would have loved him to come to Atlanta and shove it up the Phillies, for 2 months of the season. But at the end of the day, I don't know if they would even think about selling him. Didn't Garcia just sign an extension there? Yeah, you'd have to give up a ton.
I'm not even going to tell you what that person would probably be for them.
No.
But yeah, it's an interesting. The Reds are going to have the same issue with Ellie. I mean, just because you got a young player, you can get a lot back. If you look at it. So we'll say. Before we get to the Angels, let's talk about the two teams that are really in mid right now: the Rangers and the A's. They can't keep Bobby Witt Jr. healthy in Kansas City. Well, guess what? The A's lost Brent Rooker for the year. He's going to be gone. And Brent's a big clubhouse performer and whatever. And then the Rangers can't keep Corey Seager, who just went back to the IL. Aaron, if they do go in sell mode, Rangers and A's, anybody off those two teams you think would be a great fit for the Braves?
Rangers wise, obviously Jacob deGrom, if they're willing to move him. And A's wise, I kind of want Jonah Heim back. Let's just move Joey Bart. Let's just do a one-on-one catcher trade. I know that Jonah Heim is playing in a different environment now, which contributes to his stats since he's been back in with the A's. But yeah, Jonah Heim. Otherwise, I don't really think there's anyone that they'd be willing to move very easily because they seem to have a pretty solid core. But Rangers wise, yeah, definitely Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, they got a really young core. They're probably not really going to move. There's a certain pitcher out there, Ryan, they may move off of if they fall out of it. Their number one starter. And also with Jacob deGrom, I think Nathan Eovaldi would be an interesting guy that the Rangers would have to make a decision on. How about the Rangers and A's? Anybody that you look at?
Not so much A's. I think the A's are young and their core's just now really kind of coming up. I don't see them moving a whole lot of pieces. You could see them move like a Jeff McNeil or something like that if somebody came calling, or a bullpen piece that won't be back after this year. But I think those guys are going to try to keep their stuff together, if not add for next year. I will say the Rangers do intrigue me. I would like a Nathan Eovaldi if he can stay healthy and the price is not ridiculous, because I just cannot see giving up even a top 20 prospect right now for Nathan Eovaldi. DeGrom's intriguing, but again, you got the health concerns with Jacob because he's just been on the IL a lot throughout his career. But that would be a number one, number two that you need in your rotation. I mean, I know he's hurt, but we might be able to get him a little bit cheaper. I've always been a Corey Seager guy. I've always liked Seagy. I've always liked Seagy. I know he's hurt, chat. I get it. Seager's still a dog when he's healthy, and if he's healthy, he's a guy that can put a second half stretch together that's going to be absolutely ridiculous. He solved shortstop for a couple of years while you let the young pups down in the minor leagues develop, and then when he's ready, you can move him to second, you can move him to third if Austin Riley continues to shit the bed, or you can move him to DH. So you do have some options with that, but again, it depends on price and what they would be asking for. And so I'd be interested in those two pieces. I don't know much about their bullpen. I don't want Jock Peterson back, even though he was that MFer and gave us those pearls and magical moments in 21. He just doesn't fit this roster construction very well at this time.
Jock's a first baseman now. He looks like a softball player now. If you get a chance, shocked at the tail end of his contract. I'm surprised. I'll go ahead and mention him. I threw a little bait out there. Y'all forgot all about him. I would take Jeffrey Springs in a heartbeat, and he's the guy they think they may move in Oakland if they fall out of it, because he'll be a left-handed starter with his kind of stuff. He'll probably be. Now, I don't think he can be a 2 for us, but if we get needing somebody to be a 4 or something, he would be great. So we'll move on to the Angels, who they do have a left-handed starter that can be a number 2 for us. His name is Reed Detmers. Soriano is struggling lately. I don't know what to make of that. Could be a little arm fatigue, which you get power pitchers get. Joe Odell, Jorge Soler, Aaron. There are some pieces. Artie, let's get real quick. Only on the Angels thinks they're going to sell. Artie, Marino said that it's really going to be up to Mozeliak. They asked him, and he's, quote, said, no, we're not selling because we're going to be a contender. So I don't know what team he's looking at. He said because they're in a big market, that doesn't make you a contender. He should just call up Steve Cohen and ask him, just because you're in a big market, do you contend? The answer is no. So I really think the Angels are going to eventually sell. So what do you think about the Angels, Aaron?
Well, it's interesting with Reed Detmer and Jose Soriano because when you look at their current stat line, I know that you said Soriano has been struggling lately, but he's got a slightly better ERA than Reed Detmers right now. I know ERA isn't everything. He's sitting at 3.42. Reed Detmers is at 3.88, if I'm not mistaken, if that's updated. But both of them have similar contracts controllable through 2028. So to me, if we're going to work with the Angels, I say it's just a matter of, the cost for either of them. I'm fine with either of them. Let's just get the cheaper option because they're very similar on paper and with their contracts. And also clubhouse fit should probably play into that as well. They'd have to look into that.
I think they're both good clubhouse guys, is what you get from the media out there. So I agree. I think it's probably going to be whoever happens to be the one that's probably cheaper. Ryan, what about the two guys in the lineup, Joe Odell, Jorge Soler?
Jorge Soler, unfortunately, I did like it early in the season just because, Jorge's always going to have a good old soft spot in my heart. But unfortunately, he's kind of fits in that Jock Peterson mold, man. He just doesn't fit this roster anymore. Joe Adell, he's the guy that you always think he's just going to take off. And he had a pretty good year last year, 37 bombs, a 778 OPS. This year, he's down 100 points on OPS. His average is about the same. His OBP is about the same. His power is down as well. He's only got 11 home runs. So I don't really know what to make of Joe Adell. I would like to like him. I just don't like him. And defensively, he's just not been good. I would like one of those two starters, though, and I can tell you Mr. Soriano's problem, it's walks. He's got an 11 point something walk per 9 or walk rate right now, not very good. Detmers, though, is like 7.6 walks per 9. I mean, I don't know if it's walks per 9, but his walk rate's a whole lot better. So I would imagine Detmers is probably going to cost a little bit more just because he's pitching better. But I would be interested in both of those dudes because I'm pretty sure we got a pitching coach that could do wonders for Mr. Soriano.
Mr.
I
Detmers
agree.
too. They both have good sinkers, and that's Jeremy's thing is the sinker. And I think they both become number 2s on our staff. So I agree with both of you. All right, let's go to the teams out west, the National League. We threw out the Rockies deal. It is still out there. They're an interesting team. I'm sure they're going to ask around. Lorenzen, Sensatella, those kind of guys. Willie Castro. I wonder why they keep taking him out of the game when the game gets blowout one way or the other. He's the guy they're resting. That kind of worries me if I'm a GM because that might mean his legs are bothering him. You got to get him off his feet. He is getting older. But the Giants are the other team. Come on, guys. All right, Aaron. The guy that we'd want would be Logan Webb. They say he is the one guy that's untouchable. Do you think eventually they shake up and have to get rid of Logan Webb?
I don't. I think that they're going to stick to their guns on that. And I think Robbie Ray is probably the most realistic target from the Giants. And I'm okay with Robbie Ray, but I mean, he is a rental if I'm not mistaken. Um, what is it? 25 million for 2026, then a free agent. But he's a lefty, and we could always use another lefty in the rotation, and he certainly did work on us. Didn't we see him in both the home series and the road series? Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I I would be okay with getting him as a rental again if we're not giving up a ton of our top prospects to do so.
Right. My problem with Robbie Ray, about a 20 last 24 innings of pitching, he's given up 3 runs. So he's right where he needs to be. Buster Posey's got to be static because he's going to get a ton for him probably. My problem with Robbie Ray is I don't see him as a number 2. Do you see Robbie Ray as a number 2?
Buyer beware of Robbie Ray. Look at this
Yeah.
Savant page. My God,
Wow.
look at his expected ERA. It's like 4.5. Do you want chat? I want you to seriously look at this and be like, do we want that? No, we have enough of those. We got Raylo. We got Elder. We have Martin Perez. We have this dude already, like times 4 in our rotation. Okay, I don't want a dang thing to do with Robbie Ray unless we are desperate and we have about 5 or 6 injuries going up our rear ends and we need somebody. But even at that point, I think you just fold in the year and you find somebody who can just eat innings that ain't going to cost you anything. Because this dude, the way he's pitching out of his mind and literally outperforming every single statistical category that he has known to man, and somebody's going to overpay for that, and it's not going to be Alex Anthopoulos. So no, I do not want Robbie Ray. I would love Logan Webb. I'd give up a lot for Logan Webb. I mean, you might have me thinking about Mr. John Heel when we're talking about Logan Webb. That's how serious I would be about Logan. But the only guy I'm really interested in from San Francisco would be the left-handed reliever Eric Miller. I would definitely like him out of their bullpen, but other than that, Ken, Arise doesn't fit us. Heliot Ramos, you could make an argument would be a nice piece there, right? But at the same point, he's got a ton of control left. He's going to bring back a haul if somebody really wants him. Do I want to give up that haul for Mr. Ramos? I don't know. Probably not. I look, he's a nice player. I don't think he is a superstar game changer like a Buxton or a Ronald Acuna Jr. is, who I would be willing to pay that price for. I think he's the tier right below that. Solid player, can't be an all-star, not an MVP or game changer for the lineup. So that's kind of where I'm at on the Giants. There's only a couple of guys that really tickle my fancy, and this guy right here is not one of them.
Yeah, I'm not a Robbie Ray guy, unless they added a top-notch starter and he becomes the 4 or 5, and that would be because Elder and Perez are getting tired, and you got to move on from them. I am interested in Heliot Ramos. I'm not sure what it'd take. The problem is Heliot's getting hot at the wrong time for trying to buy him, because usually when they get hot, everybody's going to want him. So we'll see. The last team that's definitely in sell mode because they suck are the New York Mets. And we went through this before. They're going to try to get rid of Peralta. He can't get out of the 3rd inning. I don't know who's going to take. We're not interested in Peralta. We're not interested in any of their pieces. But the one guy, and I'm sure Ron's going to try to find his Savant page, Aaron, so you can see it. AJ Minter, I kind of poo-pooed on it last week, but he's throwing the ball pretty well. We might be able to try to swing a deal with the Mets. Well, we don't trade with the Mets. We have traded with the Mets. And when you're just trying to get out, and Cohen's trying to get out of salary, he'll probably trade anybody to anybody. Would you be interested now this week with AJ Minter coming home?
Absolutely. I love AJ Minter still like I have the same soft spot for him as I do for Jorge Soler. Has he been staying healthy though? I haven't been up to date on that.
Lately he's got
Lately
healthy.
he's been
Now he's
staying
been
healthy.
healthy. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd definitely be open to that. Another one that people have messaged me about, possibility of trading for Bo Bichette if he yeah, that's that's my thought process too. They were like, well, what if he, what if he waives his whatever he has, his option to quit. I don't know what it is, what the technical term is, but I was like, no, I don't know. That contract is insane and he's underperforming. Absolutely not. Not worth it.
I'm gonna tell you something. If they trade for Bo Bichette, I tell you, Alex, look at me right now. I am not renewing my season tickets. I will. We have a thing we have to renew by June the 30th,
Yeah.
but we can't get out of that for reasons, health reasons, and mine would be I'm going to have a stroke with you getting Bo Bichette. So I don't know about you, Ryan. What do you think about our fan? I do. I hear it all the time. They wanted Bo Bichette this winter. Thank God we didn't get him. What
Yeah.
about you? And what do you think about AJ Minter, Ryan?
Well, right now we already have Bo Bichette. He plays third base right now for the Atlanta Braves, apparently. Okay, so I don't need a guy who has absolutely no glove going out there at shortstop. We have enough problems, and us having a black hole at shortstop is not the solution. Now, I will say, Bo has improved his StatCast Savant page, but at the end of the day, he's not going to provide a whole lot defensively, and it's just Bo. I'm telling you guys, his bat speed's already starting to slow down. His moneymaker's his bat. I don't see Bo aging well, and I'm not going to be stuck with the contract because he likes Atlanta this in 2 months. He's like, oh, I'm going to opt in for $42 million because then that kills your freaking payroll. There's just no shot. Not to mention the prospect capital you'd have to give up. It ain't worth it. But I will say, Ken, I was pleasantly surprised with this gentleman right here. Look at that. Look at that. That's kind of cute, right? Kind of cute. I like AJ. AJ, you can come on back. Look, the velocity isn't what it once was, but everything else looks pretty dang good. He's got 14 innings pitched, and the dude knows how to get outs in the postseason. I mean, my goodness, what he did in the World Series, NLCS, NLDS for us in 21, he was just an absolute maniac for us, and I would take that back for another run at it. But, again, left-handed pitching's coveted, especially left-handed relievers, and I think everybody and their brother needs a left-handed reliever. So if the Dodgers come calling, I'm pretty sure they would rather ship him out there than to Atlanta. So we will see, but there's plenty of left-handed reliever options out there. AJ is a nice option, but we'll see what happens. But no, I don't want Freddie Peralta either. He's terrible, and I didn't want him this offseason. So he's just proving my point on that one.
What do you think, Aaron?
Here's my question. When we're talking about relievers, obviously we're not going to go out and get all of these things that we could potentially use. So do you think that, AA is going to prioritize starting pitching over going out and getting a left-handed reliever? Because in my mind, like it's a nice thought, but I don't see us going out and getting a left-handed reliever by the
Okay.
deadline.
Well, let me explain it this way. In 2021, you remember that magical season? Everybody talks about the 4 outfielders we went and got. He got a reliever, and we had a good bullpen. Richard Rodriguez come in. I think it's prospects, and so the reason why me and Ryan really kind of talked about AJ is he's probably not going to cost a lot as far as prospects. And they would probably do a 1-1 with Luke Sennard in a heartbeat. And he's a number 11 in our organization. They would probably do a 1-1 for even Bauman. They get another reliever, young reliever, and I'm glad that Gavin agreed with me. I think Sennard's going to be a reliever eventually, but I think that he will look at adding everything. I do not think we're just going to have one trade. I think this is going to be a multiple trade this year. Somebody's going to get the big load, and then he's going to have to figure everything out. Now, I do think if we get Ryan and Joe Odell, let's not put a same trade, but that's the two we get, then that left-handed reliever will probably be more Eric Miller, Matt Strom, AJ Minter, because they'll be cheaper. But then if we end up getting Michael Wacha and Byron Buxton, now Wacha was cheaper probably, then we may go after a bigger left-handed reliever and try to get some of them. So, or even a right-hander that pitches good against left-handers. They got to remember reverse splits come in play. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think we'll make multiple moves. All right, we got to ask 2 tough questions. I asked the first one's going to be the easiest one because I don't think anything will be. I'm not going to try to plant a seed. Did we see a deal for the Braves or anybody before next Sunday or next time we get on the show, which will be Thursday, next Thursday. Aaron, did we see a deal by anybody?
No, not by us. And I don't know across the league. No, I don't see that happening.
How about you, Ryan?
If it is, it's not going to be anything major. It's just going to be somebody. Oh, we desperately need help. Who are you willing to give us for that help? But I don't see anything major happening.
Yeah, the only team that I can see maybe making an early move by trading somebody would be if somebody wanted to bat and Posey's able to talk somebody to take an either. Of course, Chapman just went on the IL, so that's not going to happen. But Adames or one of those guys he's got a lot of contract with, just because you get more gains, you're paying that fee. I don't think there'll be a move. This is the hard question. Which top 10 prospect are you willing to give up to get a big time player? Because we all like our top 10 prospects. But which one of those guys are you willing? Yeah, I'm willing to give him up. Ryan, which one of those prospects are you willing to give up? I think it's kind of easy.
Give me a player that I'm trading for.
Getting one of the good players. Let's not go for the big. Well, let's do Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray. You have to give up
You're
at
not
least
getting a
one of your
top
top
10.
10. Who do
Nope.
you give up?
I hang up the phone on Sonny Gray.
That's not
Yeah,
the question.
same.
It's not the question. Because you may get in a point he may be the only thing available and you have to give up a top 10 This is what you have to do as a GM, guys. It's hard. You know? Find out Elder he can't get back his arm, and we now definitely got to add a pitcher. Which one are you most likely to give up? I think the answer is easy. You may go first.
I'll
You
go
go
first.
right ahead.
Okay, Aaron, who you giving up?
Owen Murphy, probably.
Owen Murphy. Okay, yeah, and he's been dangled a lot. If trade rumors are honest out there, he's been
Lucas
dangled.
Braun. I'd be more comfortable with Lucas Braun.
Okay, Lucas Braun, Rhino.
If it's Sonny Gray, I'm going number 10, and you get nothing more than number 10, and that is that's your deal. You get number 10, I get Sonny Gray. I don't give a crap what you're asking for. But if we're talking like Joe Ryan, Byron Buxton, I mean, I'd be interested in maybe sending a John Heel.
John Hill's
return.
number 10.
John Hill's number 10?
You just sent John
No,
Hill.
John Hill's not number 10. I don't care what any prospect list says. John Hill's like my top 5, top 3. I'm high on him, so no. It would be like he would be going in the package for somebody big, but I could send a Ballman, a J.R. Ritchie in a deal for a Sonny Gray-esque type guy. That would be what I would do.
Burkhalter.
Yeah. Burkhalter is definitely. How about Drew Hackenberg? It doesn't seem like we're high on Drew Hackenberg. He might be somebody that would go in one of these deals.
Yeah.
He's up for Drew. But if it's for one of the big guns, Webb, Joe Ryan, one of them, I'm willing to give up Cam Caminiti.
Me too.
Gavin explained why. There are a lot. He's got a great stuff, but there are a lot of things he's going to have to. He's a young kid. That's part of it. So look, we're not downing you, Cam. We want you to come on the show. We want you to be Atlanta Braves, but
Yeah.
he is the one guy that I would be interested in trading for a big time arm. And I will say this, and y'all going to shoot me. I'll go ahead and get ready to get mad. If the Red Sox did a 1-on-1 deal, Sonny Gray for Cam Caminiti, and I knew it could put me into the World Series, I'd do the deal. But as I told Ryan, I'm going to have the bat first and the other pitcher first. And then I know then I would do that deal. So that's how I feel. So, I mean, everybody will get in the DM. So we got to get out of here. Final thought tonight. Anybody got a final thought? Aaron, final thought? Trade 2026.
I'm just thinking, I'm still hung up on a Buxton and Ryan hypothetical package. How many top 30 prospects do you think are we talking about here for those two, if they're willing to listen? And is Eric Hartman included in that deal?
I don't think Hartman goes in that deal, but I do think it'd take at least 4 of the top 30 prospects plus somebody that's major league ready. I think in that
JR.
in that deal would be like a J.R. Ritchie or Hurston Waldrop would have to go because they're going to want to replace Ryan. But even in that case, a young outfielder. Now look, we didn't really do a great job on the Rome Emperor show because we had too many players to list. But Isaiah, somebody yelled at us, and I don't know if y'all seen that in the DMs. What about Isaiah Drake? He's a great player. He's a very good young player, but he would definitely probably be somebody in that package. Ryan, what you think? How many prospects?
I was literally right in line with you. I was thinking 4 to 6 are going to have to go. If you're not going to pull from the major league roster, I mean, you would have to put a pretty big name in there to cut that price tag down. So, and we've all talked amongst ourselves who that may be, but you know, we're going to keep that off the books because we get in trouble for that.
Yeah, we don't mention that name. All right, so final thought tonight, Ryan.
Keep your panties on, man. Braves just blew a game tonight, unfortunately, so it's not looking too hot, but it's still a good
Not over
team.
yet.
They're showing life, but I will also tell the fans this: these guys are gonna have to play better for AA to go all in right now. He wanted to in the first couple months, but they really crapped themselves the past week. Riley's not hitting. We have no idea what kind of player we're gonna get back with Ronald when he comes back off the IL. So AA's got to see what he has before he can start really making deals. So be patient and pray that the Braves play really well to push him in.
I agree. It's going to be tight here but I think it's not a bad thing because I think a lot of the teams are going, they don't know what they want to do yet. We're throwing names out there, but those names can change. So even though we threw, I don't know, Tigers out there, if they go on an 8-game winning streak, they're not trading anybody, you know. And we don't really think the Blue Jays are going to trade, but they go on a 10-game losing streak, they're probably dumping the house. So, all right, that's all we got tonight. Appreciate you, Braves Country member Erin on deck. She does a really good job. She tries to give you all the rumors. Jump her on TikTok and X, and everything on Hardcore Braves. Ryan is crushing it on Hip Coil. I wish our player, we got to start seeing the videos right directly to them. I'm going to get to go to the game. Somebody's going to come watch my daughter. I do appreciate everybody keeps reaching out about her. She keeps getting better. The gang got to see her yesterday. She come and said hello to Ryan and Erin. So I'm going to the game, so maybe I'll take the Hip Coil for the Mets and just hand it off to Derek Schiller and say, let's run this down to the boys in the clubhouse. Ryan's got them fixed if they'll just listen to him. So at Braves Hip Coil, at Braves Homer 27. Andrew's on Hot Atlanta Highlights. Andrew is up in Cincinnati watching baseball this weekend, so good luck to that because that's a hot-ass stadium. You ever been to River? Oh, my Lord, that thing. Great American Ballpark is a hot stadium. All right, so we're getting out of here.
Good one, though. It's a good one, though.
Beautiful. And Aaron, you ever been to Cincinnati?
No.
Cincinnati, one of my favorite towns.
Yeah.
It's on my list.
It's awesome.
It's on my list because I want to see Joe Burrow play.
You walk through Monumental Park to get into the ball field. You get to see Johnny Bench, Pete Rose.
Beautiful.
Oh.
And all their food is right there. You can get anything. You get to walk through their food to go down to this. It's
That's
laid
perfect.
out. Great.
It's great.
Great stadium. Yeah. They got good fans, too. They're fun. All right, we get out of here. Love you, Braves Country. And as always, peace.
You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.